shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat Shalom, and as we begin to scroll through the pages here, it's wonderful to see friends from far and near, friends here from Indianapolis, where it is a beautiful, beautiful day, as well as friends that we have not seen all week from other cities, far and near. It's nice to see you. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. The other song that I will forever associate with Rabbi Scott Fox and Dori, I learned before Adi came along, but Scott and Dori absolutely brought this song to our congregation, a reflection on the blessings of earth and sky, of the elements that make up our life, that we rely on, fire and water. We feel this gratitude in our bodies, in our spirits, in our souls. Adama v'shamayim chom ha'esh tzlil hamayim ani margish zot begufi beruchi uvenishmati Adama v'shamayim chom ha'esh tzlil hamayim ani margish zot begufi beruchi uvenishmati. Love the earth, love the sky, heat of fire, drop of water. I can feel it in my body, in my spirit, in my soul. Hey, 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 Adama v'shamayim, love the earth and love the sky. As we look outside today, this is the moment where we should be expressing our gratitude as the sun begins to set, as Shabbat enters our lives. Hope that you'll join with me in this nigun. Welcome into Shabbat with just voice. If you want, we can throw in Shabbat Shalom in the middle of the song. But otherwise, it's just la la. La 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 la. Shabbat Shalom comes in with a deep breath. You know, one of the reasons why on Saturday night we smell fragrant spices to let Shabbat exit our lives is because the ancient rabbis believed that the neshama yetera, the extra soul that is with us on Shabbat, enters through the nostrils, that the sense of smell is deeply connected to our sense of Shabbat. And so in this moment, we inhale deeply with our nose, exhale the week out through our mouths, and we let that peaceful moment of Shabbat overtake us. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. As we begin our service, it is truly a pleasure for me to celebrate Rabbi Scott Fox. And the reason for that, it goes far beyond all of the contributions that he has made in our community. It actually ties in with the events of this week that bring us into Shabbat. This has been a very challenging week in many ways. And the balm for that challenge, the response of our community to issues that we know run deep, like racism, like illness and the fear of illness that seems to sometimes tear us apart. The balm for that, the cure for that, is our opportunity to reach out with kindness and with love. And the truth is that far beyond any amount of programming, any amount of life cycle events, any amount of teaching that Rabbi Scott and Dori and Adi have provided for us, and I will include Adi in that because Adi has been our teacher, but especially for you, Rabbi Scott, and your partner Dori, we are left with a legacy of kindness that you leave for us. Scott and Dori have been involved in more events and more initiatives, that's the word I was looking for, than I truly could count. Some of the highlights for me have been the Adama initiative. Adama, the word that we just used in the song, for our care for the earth as its stewards, started by Dori and by Scott together, has been a force for good in our community. The Adama initiative has led not only to recycling programs at IHC, not only to completely replacing every light bulb in the building that was not energy efficient. It got a little complicated, but we still made a profound effort planting trees on our grounds and in other places in the city too, teaching us how to compost, and bringing all of those concerns to a frontal awareness in our community. Both Scott and his family have brought that passion to us in important ways. Both of them were our teachers in our religious school and brought their love of Judaism and their love of Torah with them. Of course, Rabbi Scott is going to be perhaps best remembered for the music that he brought to us, the adult education classes he offered, and the interfaith work that he brought such a passion to. Rabbi Scott even traveled to Morocco to represent the city of Indianapolis and our congregation in a mission of understanding and education with the Muslim community there and frontline evangelicals from the community of Indianapolis. And those relationships he has sustained, and that work continues. Rabbi Scott has represented our community and congregation for social justice, for immigration reform, for gender and marriage equality, and all the while, he has shepherded our B'nai Mitzvah students, our ECC families, and our religious school students through countless moments of learning, life cycle events, Shabbat celebrations, and exploring the deep and hidden mysteries of that small town that we all know so well, the focal point in many ways of Jewish storytelling, the magical, curiously backward town of Chelm. Our children will never forget your stories or your teachings, Rabbi Scott. The other night I shared with you one of my favorite texts from Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our ancestors. Oseh lecha rav ukeneh lecha chaver. Make for yourself a teacher and acquire friendship along the way through the teaching. And ultimately, as the text ends, be successful by choosing to judge all people by their merits. In this way, Rabbi Scott, you will always be and have been for as long as our partnership has lasted here at IHC, my teacher and my friend, one who has taught me what it means to judge others by their merits. We are so pleased to celebrate this huge accomplishment in your life and the life of your family, even as your family is still in its moment of grieving. It is truly a moment to celebrate that you are taking on the leadership of a congregation in Long Beach. They are very fortunate to have you, and we look forward to staying in touch with you as you grow in your career. For our first speaker to introduce this Shabbat and to celebrate your accomplishments, I'd like to welcome our past president, Patty Freeman-Dorson.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you, Ken or Aviva, for inviting me to say a few words, and hello, Rabbi Scott, and what a wonderful time to celebrate you. I have to say, as Jewish texts go, it was appropriately, Rabbi Brett has appropriately stolen the particular text that I also had looked at today. I want to focus specifically on make for yourself a teacher. What does this mean? What are the rabbis telling us? Can a rabbi be both teacher and friend? I think the rabbis are telling us to find someone for your rabbi who can teach you, enlighten you, and inspire you, and then it follows naturally they become your friend. This so aptly describes what we all found in you, Rabbi Scott. Rabbi, we have shared the Jewish life cycle together at IHC. From naming the newest Jews to being present for new friends becoming Jews. From children beginning their educational journey to family members completing their life journey. Together, we acted on our shared belief that Judaism is best practiced in the company of others, that it is most meaningful when we are in relationship with one another, and that we must radically welcome all to be part of our community. We sang and danced at the URJ Biennial, and we marched in the Pride Parade in support of our LGBTQ family and friends. We shared our belief and hope in multi-faith dialogue and friendship. Scott, you chose an incredible human being, Dori, as your life partner, and gave our people the gift of a new Jewish life, Adi. Together, you and Dori created the Adamah Initiative, undertaking numerous actions to care for our precious earth. You are both role models for what Rabbi Heschel described as praying with your feet. As you take your energy and your exuberance and your guitar to your new congregation, and I have to say, I have loved the riffing around the edges during Nefesh. When you do little jazz riffs around the edges, I've loved that. When you do that, closer to family and lots more sunshine, we wish you great joy, good health, and Godspeed. Please keep in touch and don't be a stranger.
Thank you so much, Patty. And in that spirit, I know that Rabbi Scott would want nothing more than for us to join our voices together, albeit virtually this evening. So we join together to sing praises to Adonai. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar. Hariu lifnei HaMelech Adonai. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar. Hariu lifnei HaMelech Adonai. Yeram hayam umlo'o, tevel ve'yoshveva. Neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yiraneinu. A psalm for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with a voice and lyre together. Tzadika tamar yifrach kerez balvanon iske shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrihu odienuvun b'seiva deshenim verananim iyu lehagid ki ashar Adonai Suri velo avlatabo. I first met my friend Scott Fox over 10 years ago at Hebrew Union College at 1 West 4th Street in Manhattan. We sat together in some class. I seem to think maybe it was Midrash with Rabbi Norman Cohen, but the truth of the matter is I'm not sure how much attention I was paying anyway. Scott undoubtedly was paying much more attention than me, sitting closer to the front, always either eating a burrito with a fork or quinoa in a compostable bowl with an edible spoon. I quickly came to learn that Scott would never hesitate to laugh at my off-the-cuff comments that were, from time to time, at the worst, most inappropriate time during a class. And he became a kind and caring friend. It wasn't until I came to Indianapolis Hebrew congregation that I truly got to know Scott as a colleague. And it became clear to me that he is a compassionate rabbi, an incredibly loving human being who just gives all of his soul to everyone who is willing to take from it. Scott and Dori, you have been nothing but a force for good in this community. Dori, it was an honor and a pleasure to share a pregnancy together. I feel like our babies will always be bonded in that beautiful way. And Scott, I will miss you so much. I'll miss your presence and your friendship on the Bima. I'll miss both of us looking at each other for who's going to sit in Rabbi Brett's chair when he's not there, and we both decide neither of us will sit in it. I know Rabbi Brett thinks it's ridiculous. And I will miss Scott's face that he gives me when the congregation starts clapping on 1 and 3 instead of 2 and 4. And just know that I echo the sentiments that have been shared this evening, that you undoubtedly will be a gift to Cantor Sarah Haas, your new partner, who is a wonderful partner, and the entire community that is lucky enough to have you leading them. Thank you for everything you have given and shared with us, your clergy team. Thank you for your friendship and for the laughter, and may you go from strength to strength. And with that, it is an honor and a pleasure to invite Dori and Adi to lead us in candles and kiddush.
Thank you. We want to have the opportunity now to light these candles. They, for me, draw to mind the brightness and the light that you have brought into my life. Each and every one of you, and I'm thinking especially of Rabbi Brett. Thank you for your words. Patty, thank you for your words. And Roland, thank you. I imagine there were your words in there too. And Cantor Aviva, thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Okay, all right, and we continue with the sweetness of this Kiddush, this moment, right there in our cups. We offer this blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh b'reishi ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher l'tzion mitzrayim ki banu v'charta otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kodecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim to you, Rabbi Scott, and your family. Our next speaker is Ken Rubel, representing the congregation with his family, I think. Ken, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Rabbi Brett. Hi, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We're so happy to have a chance to say a few words. Rabbi Scott, Rabbi Fox, Scott, our family joined IHC shortly before your family did. And one of the things that was really striking to us was just how approachable and how engaging you are. Despite all the conversations, opportunities with all of us at IHC, each and every time you asked, "How are you today?" We always felt like you actually wanted to know, and you would give us space. You would offer us time to converse, to listen to us. So thank you for that. Dori, knowing how important you are to the IHC community, we can only imagine the breadth of your importance and the impact that you've had in our cities in which we live, our state, and the earth. Your charisma and passion reach well beyond the Adamah and influence the people around you in definitely a positive and in a significant way. So thank you for that. Adi, while you have only been with us a short while, we are convinced how lucky you are. There are so many adjectives that come to mind when we think about your parents. Just for time, we decided to limit ourselves to only share the top 18. Actually, we only have 4 to share, but you are lucky, Adi. You're lucky because you have 2 loving, genuine, courageous, and intentional people to guide you through this world. And we can't think of anything that could be better or anything that's more important. So we're definitely going to miss you. We're going to miss holding you and kind of passing you around the congregation. But we look forward to watching you grow electronically because we know you'll share with us as the time passes. So So yes. Our family is fortunate because you'll be moving to a place near where we have family and that we travel. And so we look forward to hearing about a safe and successful move out west. And if you'll allow us, we look forward to spending time with you, time together in Southern California, because we'll be sure to visit and let you know. So, thank you for being a friend, your family, a friend to our family. Thank you for what you brought to us and to our communities, and all the best and all of our love as you move on in the next adventure. Thank you.
I'm feeling so incredibly grateful for all of these loving and kind words. It reminds me of the gift that I get to give as a rabbi, which is to get to step in and really connect in a way that I think is perhaps even unique to the role of clergy. It has been such a gift to me to spend time with Shannon, with you and Ken and the entire community, and I very much can't wait to see you guys in Southern California. In just a moment, we're going to offer the blessing, the words of the Shema. And these words it's always peculiar to me that we end with the word echad when it includes the word, the plural name for God. It's a moment where we take all of these disparate different moments of our week and bring it together into one single prayer as this community is together in one single heart. And so I offer us and invite us now to take a moment to breathe a little bit and to offer these sacred words of our tradition.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Vaed. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently unto your children. You shall speak of them when you're sitting in your house, when you're walking by the way, and when you're lying down, and when you're rising up, and when you're rising up. You shall bind them for a sign upon your hand. They shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorpost of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God. It's a pleasure to call on Andy Aronson to share a few words.
Hello, everybody. I can be heard okay? All right. First, I want to take a moment to talk about Adamah. It has been an incredible force in my life to come to the synagogue and find other people who care about things as much as I care about. And I'm just very grateful to Dori and Rabbi Scott for creating that space. And I'm particularly grateful to Dori because at a time when I was barely involved in IHC at all, I don't know, she somehow saw that I wanted to be, and she encouraged me to keep showing up and invited me to things where other people in Adamah were like, hey, how come that guy's here? Because I hadn't done anything. But it was very, very touching and valuable to me. So in thinking about Rabbi Scott, the first thing that comes to mind is his smile, right? Like, does anybody not imagine his smile as a huge part of Rabbi Scott? And when I first encountered it, I was like, wow, this guy's got a big smile. But, you know, he was meeting lots of new people, so that was natural. And then I saw him up on the bema, and he had that smile all through the service. I'm like, well, okay, so maybe, you know, he's getting to know his congregation. He's new, whatever. But it just kept going, right? Rabbi Scott always has that smile. And there was a moment where I was like, what's going on here? Why does he have that smile all the time? But I quickly concluded that it is a very genuine smile. And that it's because he's genuinely pleased to be where he is, to do what he's doing, to simply exist. And I think I know what his secret is, right? I think that when he sees people or things, he doesn't see them as good or bad or whatever. He sees them as wondrous, as miracles. He sees everything and everyone and every moment as a gift, right? Something that didn't have to be, but it is, as an opportunity. At least that's what I see in his smile, in his always there smile, and it's a reminder to me that the world is wondrous, that it's literally awesome. So when I was asked to speak, I was taken aback, honestly, because I just know that there are so many people in this congregation who've been touched so much. And so I didn't know why it would be me. But I took an opportunity to ask a couple of other people what their thoughts were so I could try to be, you know, more representative. And I heard some stories. And at their core, I think they're all the same. They're people who, by his presence, their lives have been made better, right? And it's because he's engaged and present and joyful, and he's shown this light that sort of illuminates a pathway for other people to do the same. So thank you so much for everything. I think you've made a lot of lives better, and I think you're going to continue to do so. And I think your new congregation is going to be very lucky to have you. And good luck on all of your future travels.
Thank you so much, Andy, for agreeing to share your beautiful and eloquent words. We continue with Vishamru, and I invite you to join me from where you are. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
We know that there are so many different avenues to having meaningful experiences, to having sacred moments, and we know that words so often bring us to those places. I especially this evening am grateful for words and such loving and kind and sweet and beautiful words. We also wanted to give all of us the opportunity to have a sacred moment together and to enter into this space without words. And so we take a moment now for silent reflection, for silent prayer.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי What you may or may not know is that there is a whole other dimension to Rabbi Scott's role at IHC that you probably don't have the opportunity to see unless you have children under the age of 5. Rabbi Scott has spent an enormous amount of time plugging into our early childhood center, getting to know those kids and those families. When I first started almost 2 years ago, which feels crazy to say, Rabbi Scott invited me to lead ECC Shabbat with him. I had a son who was 4 at the time, and Rabbi Scott did not yet have children. And I thought, okay, I'm happy to come and see what he does. Having seen a lot of people try and connect with children without having children, I wasn't quite so sure how this was going to go. It amazed me to see a bima full of kids just light up. And they started yelling, "Shabbat is here." And I said, "Oh, well, they're asking for your favorite song. Shabbat is here, Shabbat." And he said, "No, they think my name is Shabbat. And when they see me, they say Shabbat is here." And that remains one of my favorite stories about Rabbi Scott and the ECC. A family who I know has experienced this firsthand is the Berg-Ronick family. And so it is my pleasure to turn it over to them for a moment.
Well, hi, everybody, and hi to Rabbi Scott and Dori and Adi. We just wanted to talk a little bit about, our experience of getting to know you guys and how much we've appreciated you. My first experience with Rabbi Scott was getting to play with him at Nefesh, where I play piano and he would play guitar. And we've already heard about his awesome guitar licks. And I've played a lot of music in my life, and I don't know if I've ever played with anyone who so earnestly enjoyed playing that music. He just lights up the way everyone has talked about, and he would come up to me after every service and say, how special it was to play. And there were days when honestly I felt like I was just going through the motions, and hearing that from him just kind of change my whole perspective. And I think that's the case for a lot of people in a lot of situations. But a bigger, thing that we wanted to talk about was the relationship that he's had with us and with Ruth. And Rabbi Scott actually was at our house shortly after Ruth was born to do her naming, which was a really special moment for us. And then he's been there every step of the way. And one of the highlights was when Ruth was at the ECC, that she would get to see him every Friday to do Shabbat. And if you ever got the chance to see him do that, what we always tell people would ask us, what's Rabbi Scott like? And we would say, well, if you get to see him with the kids, he is like a rock star. That is what we would always say. And you could see them all light up, just like Aviva was talking about, and they would just go inside. I mean, it was like you were going to see the Beatles, you were going to see Rabbi Scott, just run through, there's a dinosaur knocking on my door. So we will definitely miss him, miss his joy, miss his smile, as everybody said, miss making music together. And I know that Ruth will miss him too.
And your whole family.
Yes. We've also had a great relationship, and we've been over to their house a few times for dinner. We've appreciated getting to know your whole family a lot. So thank you for everything you've done while you've been here. Did you want to say thank you, Rabbi Scott? Oh, no, thanks. Okay. Well, we know that you're very appreciative. Oh, there we go.
Good,
all right. Well, thank you so much, and best of luck as you go to California. I'm sure it will have nicer weather, and I hope it has almost as nice people.
Thank you to the Berg-Ronick family. Thanks, Mike and Kara and Ruth. We share those sentiments. It is a tough thing to balance being the rabbi of a community and to find deep and lasting friendships here at the congregation. You've done both of those things beautifully. And we count ourselves lucky to be among your colleagues and your friends. We know that your family is not only in a moment of great celebration and excitement about the next steps, Rabbi Scott, but also in a period of pain and mourning. And our congregation has tried to be there with you in those moments too, because that is, at the end of the day, what being in community means. It's an opportunity to celebrate with each other, but also to lift one another up in more difficult times. And of course, it is no surprise to any of us that those experiences happen often at the same time. And often we are faced with, as we are now, a week that has had much to celebrate. And this moment in time is certainly one to celebrate all of your accomplishments and a bright future, but also pain in our families and pain in your family, pain in our community, and of course pain in other communities as well. I specifically am feeling the the anger and the frustration of our Muslim neighbors who, on Eid, the holiest day of the Muslim calendar, experienced bullets in their sanctuary at the Masjid Nur Mosque on the northwest side, and wanted to share this as we transition in our service to a moment of healing prayers for one another. The pain that we feel in the face of racial violence, unrest, and anger, and in the face of violence and aggression hurled at our Muslim brothers and sisters, it runs deep for us as Jews. Remember the stranger, for you yourselves were strangers in Egypt. And these attacks, they are not against strangers. For I know my African American friends who are now afraid to leave their homes, aware of their otherness, carried around on their necks. And I know my Muslim friends and family. They are not strangers. We learn and we pray together as one. We are all victims of sinat chinam, baseless, senseless hatred. And we must mourn together. And then we must stand up and fight it together. For this is the way towards peace. In this moment of celebration, we also recognize the many reasons and the many individuals in our community who need our prayers for healing. On this Shabbat, our thoughts and our prayers go out to the entire Muslim community of Indianapolis, as well as to our African American friends, family, and neighbors who are suffering their own anger and unrest and mourning. Specifically, we also keep in our minds Kay Syersdale, one of our ECC teachers, Kathy Steele, the sister of Betsy Backey, Cindy Merrill, who is mourning the loss of her husband, Debbie Jack, undergoing surgery, Marjorie Gullett, Mike Sullivan, Karen Mandel, and Sharon Cowan-Foyer, as well as Bill Lee in his recovery. We pause for a moment of silence, reflecting on all of the ways that our prayers, our thoughts can have a positive effect in this world. We share these words of prayer together.
We add to those names the names that you have shared for those for whom you are praying. As a community, we pray for Dennis Gelbart, Bernie Poter, Bob Koreski, Jill Ross, Eileen Goldberg, Richard Tormelien, Robert Smith, Jim Fleischer and Sam Bluestein, Patrice Maduro Ward Steinman, Linda Cohen, Barbara Shapiro, Rosemary Burkett, Abby Sachs, Noah Sachs, Ruth Weisberg and Larry Weisberg, Frank Bradford, Winnie Soviar, Harvey Katz, Javi Lev Goldstein, Sandy Keller, Nancy Bonhomme, Alex Ramirez, Jay Kellier, and David Mendelson. We hold them all in our heart as we pray together. El na refa na la, el na refa na la, el na refa na la, el na refa na la. And Moses said, Il Miriam, this I pray. Moses said, Il Miriam, this I pray. El na refa na la, el na refa na la, el na refa na la, el
Heschel was a wild man. His hair alone could spark a revolution, waving freely around his serious face with such abandon that even Mark Twain would blush. And that seems right. He was heir to a dynasty of great Hasidic rabbis, those Jewish pioneers that danced, told stories, and meditated for hours on mountaintops. I learned a couple of years ago that he actually wouldn't sit when he wrote. He would pace around, speak with friends, and go on walks. And when an idea came to him, he would draw an index card from his pocket, jot it down, and then stuff it behind the last scribbled note in the stack of papers in his cards in his other pocket. He wrote entire books like this, one fiery line at a time, presenting the stack to his assistant, who would decipher the handwriting and compile the various gems into an essay or a book. That's why Heschel is so hard to read. It's not meant to be read all at once. There are mountains of meaning in every sentence, like poetry or Torah. The entire world, the sages say, can be found in just one line of Torah. So too with Heschel. Towards the end of his life, Heschel had become a legitimate celebrity. You can YouTube segments of TV interviews and specials on his life, activism, and teaching. Today we remember him in the same breath as Golda Meir and Martin Buber, and he loved to teach. One evening, he billed a speaking engagement for a large audience. The crowd gathered, filled the auditorium, and amidst the bustle of talk, most people didn't notice that the scheduled time for the lecture had actually come and gone. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes went by, and as the afternoon became evening, more and more people started to show signs of concern. Maybe there was something wrong. Heschel was an older man after all. Perhaps his body needed a bit more rest before he could come on. Or even the worse options. Perhaps the great thinker was in poor health. Eventually, the illustrious teacher did enter the hall, approached the lectern, but rather than the slow drag that might have accompanied his physical needs, the man practically danced into the room, jumped up to the microphone. "A miracle has taken place here, and just now," he exclaimed. "A great happening that is a gift from God." This certainly explained the tardiness, but none of the lecture goers knew what miracle he was talking about. There was no Twitter to speed up the sharing of information from days to seconds. The fastest way was to get the information was still from the source. So the audience hushed and waited for the great news. Heschel, with his intense, beady eyes and smoky explosion of a beard, looked out across the hundreds of people and said, "Just outside, just now, our beautiful sun set and shed every color of the palette across the sky. It was spectacular." They say that every rabbi has one sermon, and that they give it over and over again. That there's really only one message that we offer, but we find endless ways of saying it, countless new contexts to see the same understanding in a new light. Here is mine. We are surrounded by beauty. This world is made up of spectacular and majestic things, and like we learn from the Kabbalistic story, it is our task to travel the world and collect these shards of light, these things that move us to tears, that shake us to knowledge or love or awe or something else new. I believe that we are here to enjoy this world and everything beautiful in it. And I also believe that people have a unique beauty. That's why we gather in the synagogue, and why, without the ability to join together, the synagogue feels so empty. We remove ourselves from a building without so much as a look back. The space has no real value on its own. The Torahs remain in the ark while we create holy space here. What makes our holidays holy, what makes our lives sacred, is the people in them. Buildings are just where we deposit those memories. And that's why the quarantine is so difficult. We can't be together. And the virtual visits, they don't get us quite all the way there. There's just something lost when we don't find ourselves in the same space. I also believe that everything we do to become closer to the ones that we love. And so we study together, learn and find new ways to remove barriers that separate us from each other. I believe that we want to be together. And as Jews, we just have lots of ways to do it. Rituals, stories, history, these all help us better understand one another. The proper study of mankind is man, one writer writes. We Jews know that in our kitchkas. This is what makes loneliness so incredibly difficult as well. It's like viewing a painting without the colors. Life moves on, but without all the beauty, without each other. What's more is there's no one else to bring us out of that space. We get stuck, and without all the sweetness that's right there. And it is possible to be lonely with other people. It's not about proximity of person, it's about proximity of heart. How close are we to meeting one another? Are we really listening to each other? Do we genuinely care about each other? And so we work on how to make each of us feel a part of the whole, how to make friends and build meaningful relationships. As with anything, the challenge is in the small things, the details. It takes a lot of work to get any of it right. And that is the work that we do together. I've thought a lot about what drew me to IHC. Our previous search found us in places all over the country, and to be honest, Indiana wasn't really on my map. We don't have any family in Indy. We only knew friends of friends. But two moments stand out in my mind. The first was the Friday night that we came to visit. On-site interviews are exhausting. 48 hours packed to the gills. I met a lot of people on my first visit. I shook a lot of hands. I did my best to remember names. I taught classes, tried to answer a myriad of questions very thoughtfully and carefully. And it was a relief to take a moment in the middle of all of that to enjoy a Shabbat evening service. The music was lovely. I think there was a guest speaker that night, and for announcements, somebody stepped up to the podium, drew a piece of paper from his pocket, unfolded it, and proceeded to pretend to read from it. I can't imagine what was on that paper, but there must have been quite a few words that he shared that were not on the page, because he continued on from synagogue happenings to describe a dream that he had. He shared how he hoped that I would, Rabbi Fox, a candidate for the associate position, join the community at IHC. He said he dreamt that I would be happy there. The dream, I can only imagine, was a bit made up, but the sentiment was real. He was welcoming me. And he wasn't afraid to break the established mode of things to do it. Everyone had a good laugh that evening, and it warmed my heart. I think it was in that moment that I decided that if I was lucky enough to get an offer from IHC, I was going to accept it. The other moment was in the car with Rabbi Brett. I don't remember the entire conversation, but at some point, one of us mentioned a fairly uncommon song. And then we both started singing it at the exact same time. I don't know if you remember that, Rabbi Brett. I knew then it was a good fit. I came to IHC because of each of you. I've been blessed so deeply to spend sacred time with you. IHCU have been my community, my family these past 5 years. We celebrated together countless powerful moments in the lives of our families, including welcoming my own little one into the world. We've sat together and shared comfort, learned together, marched together, dreamed together, and grown together. I feel so grateful for the time that we have spent. Thank you for enjoying these sweet years with me. Thank you to all the countless hours you put into making this synagogue into the place that it is. Our synagogue serves thousands of people with a staff that is a tiny percentage of those numbers. We do it because of your hard work and love. And thank you to the amazing clergy partners I've had the joy to work with at IHC. And thank you to the amazing staff. I've learned from each and every one of you. Thank you for not minding when I burn my toast in the break room. Thank you for stopping in to grab a piece of candy and staying to talk for a half hour, 2 hours. Goofing off and responding to late night emails and sharing stories about Game of Thrones. Cantor Aviva, I still have yet to see container homes, but I will see it. Looking actually at housing prices in California, it might have actually been a better option for us. One of my favorite books was turned into a movie about 15 years ago. The book follows an introverted, quiet, young Jew on his journey to trace his roots in Eastern Europe. The visit turns into a bit of an adventure as he uncovers firsthand stories locked away in the memories of the people who still lived in the villages and towns his family fled from during the Second World War. In each place, Jonathan, played by Elijah Wood, finds trinkets, items, and objects that are part of the history he traveled to rediscover. And one after another, he pulls out a Ziploc bag, stashes the artifact away, and seals the top. Along the way, his character is not only changed because of the stories that he discovers about his family, his history, but he changes the villagers and guides too. They both grow from the experience. The final scene is one that has stayed with me since the first of many times that I've seen the movie. Jonathan gets back on the plane, returns to the United States, and as soon as he steps through the gate and onto home ground, he notices that there's something different. The flight attendant in the terminal looks very familiar. The workers behind the store counters and the baggage handlers, the security agent too. The director of the film, Liev Schreiber, until this moment took very little poetic license in telling Jonathan Safran Foer's story. But in this moment, he strikes a note of genius. Every character played in the final scene of the movie, after the protagonist is returned back to the United States, is played by an actor that also performed a character he met on his adventure overseas. In a new medium, the director shows something profound and shockingly obvious in the way that lives and relationships work. We are forever changed by the people who affect us. So much so that they change our world completely after we have known them. Sacred engagements from one moment in time radiate through every moment that comes after them. IHC, you have moved me, changed me, and inspired me. And I am bringing you with me. We say in Hebrew not goodbye, but lehitraot, which literally means I'll be seeing you. I know that some of you I will actually get to see. Ken and Shannon, I very much look forward to that. I know, and that brings me a tremendous amount of joy. Southern California is sometimes the destination and sometimes simply the place that you visit family. And if it helps you to come visit, Disneyland is 12 miles from our new house. But I will see you every day because I'm carrying you in my heart all the way out to the West Coast. And for me, that's comforting. So I say thank you, IHC, for being beautiful, for coloring my life, and for being with me here and always.
Has become our custom on Zoom services, services, I believe was the term we have tried to coin, to offer warmth to one another instead of finding other ways to show appreciation in a more physical way. Thank you for those words, Rabbi Scott. I could not resist the opportunity to share a few of my own thoughts with you. As I thought about your time with our congregation, Rabbi Scott, I was reflecting on the two great leaders of the people Israel, Moses and Aaron. Moses, we of course know a great deal about. His story is well narrated. But Aaron, well, less is known about him. We know that his leadership, while important, it is not militant. It is also not political. It is a spiritual leadership, which is why he and his sons inherit the priesthood. Be like Aaron, the sages cry. Love peace, pursue peace, bring people closer to Torah. And I have known few rabbis better equipped to be a disciple of Aaron than Rabbi Scott Fox. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel wrote, "Great is the peace of Aaron the high priest, for he greeted people with peace and responded to their greetings with peace." He continues, if Aaron noticed two people quarreling, he would tell both that the other was repentant and would thereby encourage each to reach out to one another in peace. He was willing to go to any lengths to achieve peace. The greatest attribute of our own Rabbi Scott is that he too is a great lover of peace. The times when he and I disagreed, and they were very few, Scott always without fail offered me his opinion with strength, with honesty, but also with respect and kindness on his lips. Scott always brings peace into the conversation, any conversation of which he is a part. We are truly pleased that Rabbi Fox and his family are headed closer to their relations in California. But we will surely miss the innocent way that you, Rabbi Scott, have reminded each of us that there is a way to move in every moment toward peace and kindness. Your enthusiasm, at times overwhelming enthusiasm for sharing great joy and excitement, it's contagious and it is sincere. And it too stems from your desire to see each of us focus on the good, forgive what is not good, and constantly strive for greatness. Whether you are leading your people in prayer or teaching the contemporary literature which is so close to your heart, whether sharing your music or your wisdom, and so often when you share both of those together, yours is a rabbinate of kindness and peace. And we, all of us, wish you and your family those same blessings might return to you 100-fold. Thank you for all you have brought to our congregation and to me and my family as well. I wish you l'shalom. May all of our efforts and yours in your new home lead us towards peace. Thank you for sharing this service with us. Before we conclude, I do want to mention a few things. I hope that you are, all of you, following our activities on the website and on Facebook. We continue to explore new ways of reaching out congregationally and as families as well. The newest idea that has been bubbling up is to try to offer some informal gatherings with our clergy team, to just schmooze and perhaps even to share. If everyone brings a drink, this is what we learned from the sisterhood, then we can share a drink together and everyone still be socially distanced. So please look for those opportunities and others to connect. The staff wanted me to remind everyone that tomorrow is the deadline to update your Zoom app. So if you need to know how to do that, you can look easily online, but there's a button that says check for updates, and new security features are being added to Zoom so that our services remain safe and smooth. So please do update your Zoom before tomorrow. We want to share a moment of mourning with all of you as well before we end. We remember those who have died in recent days in our congregational family, as well as those whose loss is perhaps more remote, but are those who we remember at this season from years past. On this Shabbat, we especially remember Robert Rubin, Sarah Cox's father, and Ben Goldberg, Marion Arenstam's brother, who were taken from us during the past week. We add to their names the names of those who were taken from us during the past month: Betty Cockram, James Mitchell, Bobby Silverstein, J.J. Abrams, and Mark Fox. We also pause for a moment to remember those whose yahrzeits occur this week, the anniversary of their passing. On this Shabbat, we remember Roger Abelson, Adolf Blickman, Leonore Block, Larissa Braslavskaya, Dorothy Bookwalter, Alice Cantor-Kaplan, Hulda Castle, Carl Sentman, Richard Cook, Julia Cooperman, Seymour Fox, Mary Garman, Robert Goldberg, Lillian Goldstein, Dave Butch Goldstein, Jules Gradison. This is the yahrzeit of my own grandmother, Adrienne Cohn, Heinrich Grumbacher, Jerome Hurwitz, Roger Jones, H. Maurice Cantor, Sadie Katz, Rebecca Clapper, Rose Klein, Simon Koppelson, Isidore Krieger, Florence Kushneroff, Paul Levine, Bertha Lutz, Samuel Marcus, Sylvia Margolis, Miriam Marks, Theodore Medius, Morris Namius, Doris Nessler, Dottie Dorothy Newman, Lenny Leonard Newman, Richard Perk, Nathan Regenstreif, Alexander Rhines, Caroline Lindy Rice, Jack Ridge, Mo Rosen, Sanford Sandy Rosenberg, Wolf Rosenblum, Bertie Roven, Lillian Babe Sachs, Robert Scher, Rosa Schmalgren, Henrietta Schneider, Benjamin Schuff, Sarah Simon, Irvin Telesnik, Esmond Weinberg, Jean Weiner, Norman Wormser, and Emma Yegi. If there are others whose names we should recite before we turn to the words of Mourner's Kaddish, I'd invite you to now please put them on the screen, and I'll try to read as many as I can. We remember George Floyd, Rabbi Sissi Koran, Margaret Marcone, Eli Baker, Margot Malone, Abraham Tobin, Louise Siebert, Bert Goldfarb. And we say, Zichronam Livracha. May all of their memories be for blessing. We've chosen to share the words of Mourner's Kaddish with you on your screen and invite you to join with us as we recite these words together. Hikadal v'ikadash shemei rabbah. Bi'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekutsha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. And we add to this blessing for peace for our people, the Jewish people also, especially this week, a blessing for peace for all who dwell on earth, with the words ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, and invite once again for everyone to respond. Amen. It is so good to be with you all, to share in moments of celebration as well as moments of loss. Rabbi Scott, the cantor, and I were sort of desperate at this point to find ways to do harmony and to bring more music into the service. And so she put up with my attempt, and we'd like to offer you, and Sophia would like to offer you this production, Tfilat HaDerech. It's known as the Traveler's Prayer, as a gift to you as our concluding song before Hamotzi together. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
May you be blessed as you go on your way. May you be guided in peace. May you be blessed with health and joy. May this be your blessing. Amen. 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 May this be your blessing. Amen. 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 May this be your blessing. Amen. We'll miss you, Scott. All the best.
Thank you. I'm going to miss you guys too. It has been such a gift to have this moment to celebrate together, and I want you to know that my heart is filled. Oh, hello, the whole family. Hello. I'm going to do this quickly so that I don't cry. I want to invite us to offer a hamotzi as we fill our soul, fill our bodies, and not just our hearts and souls. And I want to again offer my gratitude. Thank you for such a beautiful, beautiful send-off. I do want to mention, somebody asked, we are streaming services in Long Beach as well. You are all welcome. And please know that I carry you in my heart. Thank you, everyone. Let's join together with Hamotzi. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Well, I think at this point we have our moment of, as Rabbi Kritchever likes to say, controlled chaos. I am so grateful that we get to see one another here on Zoom. I think we're going to unmute everyone.
Rabbi Bob.
Shalom, everybody.
Rabbi Bob.
Got to come back at some point. Can't imagine IHC without you.
Luck, Rabbi Scott.
Easy, Rabbi Scott. Easy, Dori. I miss you.
Rabbi Scott.
Shalom.
We're gonna miss you, Rabbi Scott. Come visit us again sometime.
All right, you got it.
Shalom. I'm gonna miss Rabbi Scott.
Shalom, everyone. See you guys.
Bye.
Singing.
Shalom.
Nice to see you, David.
Kids are doing amazing.
Oh, silly.
We wish you a Shabbat Shalom. We look forward to connecting during the week. Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, Rabbi Scott.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi Scott.
Scott, Dori.
Hey, Rabbi Scott and Dori. Dori. Good luck in Long Beach.
Thank you.
I'm still wearing your necklace, by the way, every day. I haven't talked to you in forever, but this necklace is always on.
That new officer.
Oh.
Please buy the
Miss you guys.
Shabbat shalom, Sierra.
Hey, Sierra. Tammy, Shabbat shalom.
What do I say?
I don't know who that is.
Hi, Cole.
Good luck, Rabbi Scott.
Thank you.
Lucky Southern California.
And the two
We'll
officers.
miss all of you.
Shabbat shalom.
They walk him across
All
the
the
street
best.
back towards their squad car.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking around. I wish we had Oneg Shabbat to share with you, but have to go and have some cheesecake on your own. Tomorrow night is confirmation and Shavuot at 5:30, I believe. We'll see you then. Take care. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, everybody.